All right, this is my very first live, I think, here on YouTube since I started doing this. I know there's not anyone on this yet, but in case someone watches in the future. Hi, my name is John from Jumpers Junction. I'm out here, just finished long jumping. I'm about to roll up the tape measure, and then I'm gonna do a little cool down in the sand. And I figured I'd go live for this, for my first one, so y'all can see what my cool down is after I finish long jumping. So I'm gonna do a session. In case those are watching, I'm reeling up the tape measure. So I just got done. I've been coaching since about 3:30, and it's what, 7 something now. So it's been a long day, and then after that, I went and jumped myself. So I did some pop-ups, I did some short approaches, and I was trying to work on hitch kick, double hitch kick a little bit. Almost done reeling up. In case this is moving, I'm reeling up this. And then I'm gonna show you my sand cool down, post-jump cool down. So, if you ever wondered, regulations say the sand pit must be 8 meters and 10 meters from the edge of the sand pit to the takeoff board. So, whenever I get done working out, always cool down. Never jump straight in the car, because think about this. You just do a intense long jump workout, right? Usually these are high intensity. It puts a really big strain on your body. So then you go sit in the car, and you're sitting down, and all of a sudden, my back, or my legs. It's miserable. So I always do a warm up or a cool down. And my favorite one is to actually get on the sand pit, get barefoot. And this is my cool down. So first thing I'll do is start off, let me hopefully get this. So first thing I start off with is tippy toes. And I'll just, in the sand, walk on my tippy toes. And think about long jumping, or jumping in general, your calves get pretty intense, right? Also, you think about the sand, it's modular. It's gonna compress, it's gonna move. So it's putting your body under a different kind of stress. So now I walked all the way. Now I'm gonna get on my heels, and I'm gonna heel walk. I don't even need to see this. So if we do tippy toes, now I'm doing heel walk. This is only probably gonna last 5 minutes or so. So it's a short cool down. You see I'm still a little bit out of breath. Heel walks, then I turn my toes in. You see that? And I'm just gonna walk like this, because all that time constantly jumping, you look a little weird doing this, but at least you get to play in the sand, right? Now, turn my toes, legs outward. Hopefully you can see this. Turn my toes outward, and now I walk like this. So you see, it's nothing crazy, you know? I'm not out here doing burpees to cool down. The idea is to cool down. It's to bring your heart rate down. It's to, hey Isaac. Oh, what's up, Isaac? All right, so now I'm going to come over here. You see this? Get on my knees. And I'm literally gonna walk on my knees. It was all just about putting your body under different types of movements. Because you think about how often do you do this? I mean, also, you're on your knees. So it's it'd probably hurt if you're not doing this in the sand. All right, so I'm still on my knees here. I'm gonna do the same thing, but sideways. So see if I can hold this out a little bit. So I'm going sideways. Can you backflip? Yes, I can, but I'm not going to, 'cause I'm cooling down. But yeah, most long jumpers can, because the idea is being able to flip. Actually, fun fact, I learned how to backflip when I was 16, I believe. And the reason I learned how to backflip, I'm halfway in the long jump pit. Now I'm gonna switch sides and go the opposite way. The reason I learned how to long jump was because my little sister was in gymnastics. She was a lot younger than me, but she was learning how to do a back tuck, standing back tuck. So I went out into our front yard, and I jumped over and over and over again to teach myself how to do a back tuck. So I could teach my little sister, and she went out first try. did it. And I was like, well, I just spent all this time learning. But think about jumping, right? The ability to get height and also move in the air. Long jump's all about move. Look at this cool little pattern they did from the sides. Okay, so now I'm gonna walk backwards and I'm gonna skip backwards in the sand. Let's see if I can even close this. So I started off real slow since I'm cooling down. Now I'm gonna speed it up just a little bit. Now I'm gonna skip just low skips. Now I do my cool downs a little bit different. I start real basic, and then at the end of my cool downs, I kind of try to bring my heart rate up just a little bit at the end. And side steps. So you don't need a lot. It doesn't take a lot. Anybody got any questions? There's a few people on here. This is my first live, by the way. Besides shuffling. Now the last thing I'm gonna do, just because I love the knees. If you've ever wrestled before, done any high school or collegiate wrestling, there's when they shoot, really a wrestler, but boom, shoot in, boom, shoot in, boom. So I'm dragging. What I'm doing is I'm dragging my foot, because you're never gonna do this on the track, right? You're never gonna drag your shoe and ruin it. But if you're in the sand, you can do that. And the last part of my warm-up to get my heart rate up, I'm gonna put this down somewhere, but this is gonna get bumpy. But I'm gonna get in the sand and I'm just gonna jump for 30 seconds. Have you ever pulled your hammy? Because I did, and it sucks not being able to practice it. Yes, I pulled my hamstring. My very first collegiate meet of my freshman year of college, my very first collegiate meet, my very first attempt of my very first jump, I pulled my hamstring. Grade 2. It was miserable. So yes, and it sucks. But here's the beautiful thing. There's so much resources out there about how to recover. Making sure you have a good physical therapist, for starters. Making sure that you have a support system that can help you, and the support system is not going to pressure you. That is one of the most important things that I found, because I have injured my hamstring multiple times, and I think almost all jumpers have. But having a support system is not going to pressure you into jumping before you're ready. Because what happens? You injure yourself, and you go a few weeks, and you're like, oh, it's so miserable, and you start getting down, and then what happens? You start feeling a little bit better. You start feeling better, and you're like, oh, I got this. So you go out, because you're starting to feel a little better, and you start doing stuff, and the coach is like, get on there. Or your friends are like, dude, just come on, let's go pick up basketball. And then boom, strain it again. And usually, most of the time, when you injure, not most of the time, usually when you injure a hamstring or any kind of most muscular injuries, there's what's called fascia, right? And it'll knot up. And usually what'll happen is you'll get these little injuries to the fascia, re-injuries, that make it easier and easier and easier to keep injuring yourself. So then you need a good physical therapist to get in there, do deep tissue myofascial release, break all that stuff up, all that knots. But you can't stop exercising just because you have a hamstring injury. You can't work out your hamstring. What can you do? You can still work on your upper body. And I'm not talking about just going and hitting bench press, but think about arm swings, right? You can sit there and maybe you have a really intense cross body action. Well, you've injured your hamstring. Guess what? Now is the time to work on something that you wouldn't normally, because you're so focused on all the other aspects of improving your speed, improving your power, improving your ability to perform these beautiful techniques. Well, now you can go out, because you can't do that, and you can just sit here going, boom, working on your arm swing, perfecting the arm swing. You can start working on your abs, because one of the big reasons a lot of people pull their hamstrings is because their hips. Think about the hips. It almost always starts at the hips. How is your pelvis positioned? Do you have does your look like this? Do you look like this? or are you neutral? If you have a neutral pelvis and your body posture is in alignment, then you're usually not as prone. Because think about this. This is my last rant before I go. Think about this. If I do one of these moves where I like arch my back and I try to lift my knee up, I cannot lift it any more than this. But if I do this move right here, boom. It's because your body's not meant to move if your body's out of alignment. Do you do any other field running? How do I see the comments? They disappeared. Someone comment and tell me how to see the comments again. Oh, here's live chat. There it is. Sorry. Do you do any other field or running events other than long jump? Yes, I used to. Now I don't. I used to do triple jump and high jump. And I've run the 100, 200, 400, and 60 hurdles. So a little bit of indoor and outdoor action there. 400. But for indoors especially, I always like to rant about indoor 400 because you're running on a tight track and you're usually, most indoors hopefully have a bank. And if you don't have a bank, what happens is you're running on the edge. When you apply force, indoor. When you apply force though, think about this. You apply force to the ground. Your body wants to work in a linear fashion, right? You want to be a compression style force. But what happens if you're running on a curve? High jump or indoor or outdoor or anything, really. What's happening is you're constantly running, so you're sliding. That's called shear force. Your body doesn't like shear, never likes shear. So here's a little tip that I learned way too late in life. Whenever you're running on a curve, this is my own personal tip. It may not be other people might have different theories, but I'm not a big leaning into the curve, and instead I think about rotating my hips right in a straight line to where it would be a tangent to the curve. So I'm always rotating my hips. So I rotate my hips into the curve, and so when I'm running, I'm almost running, it's almost like this, and I'm running kind of as I'm always stepping instead of just leaning and constantly being in that sheer motion, because your body doesn't want to do that. Your body wants to go up and down. That's what it's used to. It doesn't like going side to side. So it's not good with dealing with shear stress. So it's a little tip to help sliding out. Also, taller you are, typically it can be a lot harder to run those edge curves unless you've really learned how to do it. Any more questions before I go? I got about 2 more minutes and then I'm out of here. This is my first live though. I might do these lives more often because I don't know, why not? When I'm out here doing cool downs or warm-ups. I'm not really good at seeing these chats though. How do I see this? Yeah, I did them for soccer. I might have come late to that. Welcome to live chat. I think that's about it. Okay. All right, well, hey, this is my first live chat here. Hey, sure thing. I'll try to do these every time I do a cool down. Do a little Q&A session and give a little insight. All right, guys. Y'all take care. See you later.